Hello and welcome to the Final Bell. Great to have you with us for another week. We are brought to you by GMHBA, the official health insurance partner of the Geelong Cats, and Meg McDonald is with me again. Hello, Meg.
Hey, Lingy. Good to have a win, hey?
Oh, smiles all around.
Yeah.
It's been a tough couple of weeks for us, but we're back on the winners list and feeling really good. About to head to Adelaide for Gather Round and kick things off there. We've got plenty to get through. One of our absolute favourites, Sam De Koning, is going to join us.
We've booked him.
Yes, we have. We've locked him away, playing great footy too.
Isn't he?
Yeah, and
I'm sure he would have fronted up to the podcast no matter what, but it's good to have him when he's fresh off a new deal.
Yeah, in form and the ability, playing ruck. Oh no, hang on, late change, let's go. Playing down back. Played it beautifully.
I'm obsessed with his reach. It's pretty great.
There was a couple of times where looked like, oh, hang on, we're done here. And he got there.
Front position. Oh, yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
No worries.
Wonderful play. We do have plenty to talk about. We've got a few questions to get to as well a bit later on. But before we do any of that, the favourite segment of...
straight into it.
Well, come on.
I've just said off air, everyone, that I'm a bit nervous. I don't know how positive I was in this one, but I did everyone a solid and I waited till the end of the game.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So no more halftime stuff?
No more halftime stuff. We might return to the halftime stuff if we're ever down at halftime and we need to just change the...
The fact that at halftime, and we will get to this, but the last 10 minutes of the second quarter, it wasn't our prettiest footy we've ever played, but hit me with it, please.
All right, here we go.
Meg's memo.
Okay. How much? We'll see how long Jake's cut this one down to because there was some rambling. Go the Cats. Just walking across Mary's. Probably see one of your three kids out here, Lingy, or maybe even yourself, but it's pretty soon post-game. Good win. Got to win ugly sometimes. I haven't seen us turn the ball over like that in quite some time, so just make sure you teach the kids that if you've got two options ahead, it's best to kick to one of them, not halfway in between two of them. But overall thoughts were the skipper. What an absolute monster of a man. Thought he kept us, not in it, I guess. I think he kept us ahead with some of his the force of his will and a couple of lovely set shots. They're my overarching thoughts. Yeah. Would we say it was a win ugly? Yeah, it's pretty... Oh, yeah, no, I think I've just seen one of yours. Oh, Jed, kicking it in. Go the Cats. Had the absolute pleasure of watching the match next to Fred Wooler and Pat, what an angel. It was awesome to share the event with them. And then Pat's commentary, I should have recorded that, but she's passionate and she knew what was up. Well, that was all over the place there, Lingy.
Love it. No, that is what the fans want. The listeners want that. They love Meg's memo.
Puffed, repetitive ramble.
Good by you plucking Jed out of the crowd too, spotting him. I guarantee you they were all out there kicking. So.
Yeah, I was straight out of there. So I didn't realise you were working the game. So
poor Dodsy had to go and try and slowly drag them off some Aries Oval after the game. But love it. You mentioned the words win ugly. I think that's what it was.
Yeah,
let's be honest.
I was probably a bit affected by, I think when the game was done and dusted, things got a little loose.
Yeah. You win how whatever the opposition throw at you.
Yeah.
The great thing about I think Chris Scott's coaching and Geelong's ability is you can win a way that the opposition can throw at you. So there's some flexibility in the way we play. I don't really ever want to see us take 165 marks, most of them uncontested. That's not the type of footy I love. But in this particular game against a team like Melbourne, it was a very efficient way of winning. But it does provide for an ugly spectacle as well. And Melbourne probably, in the second quarter when they had us for a period of time, some of their skill execution was pretty poor as well. I think they'd freely admit that, where they missed opportunities. So it had an ugly quality to it, the game.
Yeah, it certainly did. But when they got a run on, there was a quality to it that I really was buoyed by and really enjoyed, which we haven't been able to play the classic 4 quarters of footy yet this season, arguably. But there was a visible response from the playing group that was like, you know what? we're not letting this happen today. You might kick a couple of goals, but we are going to respond with a physicality and a pressure that means we win this game. I think they had one more inside 50 than us, but I mentioned the turnovers in the memo. In the post-game analysis, I think we scored quite well off turnover and we restricted their ability to score from turnover, and that was evident and held us in good stead.
Yeah, well, and use the first quarter as a great example. I was working on radio and working with Mick Malthouse, and like from minute one, Mick said, Geelong got this game in hand because they are generating their +1 behind the ball. Melbourne want the extra at the contest. He said Geelong's going to have a field day. They're going to mark the ball, then they're going to control uncontested marks. That was 1 minute into the game.
Oh, well, he knows what he's talking about.
He does know what he's talking about. But the fact that Melbourne sent the extra to the stoppage, so they have an advantage there, but the amount of pressure that we were able to put on despite being one down meant that kick came in quickly. We did intercept mark, and from there, just able to control the ball, as I said, probably excessively at times. But that's also what Melbourne offered up to us. Zach Guthrie taking 17 marks is pretty remarkable.
Say, let's start individualising because that was unreal, and I don't think we paid enough respect last week to a couple of one-handed intercept marks that he took. But he's started the year off. Has he been top 3 in the best and fairest last couple of years? He's a quiet achiever, and we inevitably get the who's the most underrated in the team questions, but he's just going about his business really beautifully. And Connor O'Sullivan had a fantastic game in defence again. Awesome to fifth gamer, unreal.
I gave him 2 votes in our radio voting because I thought. So I think he had 13 marks for the game, but 4 of those were intercept marks, contested marks. He was reading off and taking it cleanly in the air in a contest. I thought he was unbelievable.
Yeah, he was unreal. I mean, there were highlights from Lawson, Zach. I think everyone behind the ball was exceptional. There was a moment when I thought we were turning it over a little bit. It was getting a bit messy, and I think I turned to Hawk at one point and I said, you know what, I love that Stewie is empowering those around him. Connor's dominating in the air, Lawson's kicking the ball. I want him to just say, all good boys, can I just take control for 10 minutes and penetrate and let me use the ball. But yeah, I think the even spread down back is really awesome at the moment. But you mentioned pressure. Can we just have a moment for Tom Atkins?
Yeah, brilliant.
What a player. I was going to say, what a man, what a player.
And at times it was Oliver or Petrarca or Viney with momentum coming through. Now, they break those tackles normally, and quite rightly so, because they're huge, mature, strong guys with momentum. That's what they built their wonderful careers on. Tom just stuck tackles and they didn't get through. And it was either a free kick to us or it was a ball up and we reset and Melbourne aren't through when they looked like they probably should have been. He was brilliant. I'm glad in your memo, by the way, that you mentioned the skipper.
Oh, my goodness.
Was ultimately probably the difference in the game.
Wasn't he? He was, I used Monster in the memo. I went back and watched the game and they were using Monster in the commentary. He's unbelievable. And I'm keen to get your opinion on exactly how unique that quality that he has is of the I'm just throwing myself at this loose ball and I'm getting back up and I'm springing, and he's just like this massive beast.
Yeah. So and you know this as well as I know this. When you stand next to him, even just in the passageway, he's a big guy.
He's a big guy.
He's just so powerful, so big.
Front on, side on.
Yeah.
He's got
so that power that he can generate, I think the forward line now at this stage of his career is so good for him because he can save up a bit of petrol and then go with this huge burst and a couple of efforts. And even if he gets a little bit tired, go back and just get deep and have a little bit of a rest, recharge the petrol pretty quickly and then go again. But he can still play 4 or 5 minute bursts on ball.
Yeah, he did a lot of centre bounces, didn't he?
Yeah, and have a huge impact and maybe go straight forward from a centre bounce and use that skill. I think it's just a terrific role. I think the reality is that's his role.
Yeah.
And the reality is he'll probably play pluck a number, 16, 17 games for the year. He won't play 23, we know that.
Yeah. And I think 70% game time-ish, maybe 73% on the weekend.
And it just suits him perfect. And because we're so much, well, sorry, I shouldn't say the clubs now are so much smarter. But the coaching stuff, they go, rather than olden days of, he's 30 plus, he can't quite do what he used to be able to do, that's the end of his career.
Yeah.
It's, no, if we manage him right, and he only plays 70% game time and he plays 17 games for the year and he plays predominantly forward, but we use him in centre bounces, that package is still such an incredible positive for the team. Let's use him there, and we've got a great player regardless of this number that happens to be his age.
Totally, and just a point on the leadership of it all as well. He seemed clearly and had that, he got the playing group into a perfect mentality going into the game, and then to have the career that you're describing now, to maximise his last few years as best we can, is fantastic. And part of that is passing the torch, for want of a better phrase, to the next generation and having them get it done most of the time. But to be able to do that, to usher in those that next generation of midfielders, but to then just say, you know what, we're 1 and 2. This is going to be a hot contest, and I'm just going to get it done. I mean,
let's go.
To still have that ability is unbelievable. And just a note on his the set shots. He's zeroed in on that right goalpost beautifully at the moment. That's those were not easy kicks, and he's flushed them.
Think about the fact that you can still add little things to your game in such a storied career that he's had already. That, rightly or wrongly, that at moments you go, set shot goal kicking. Is that as perfect as the rest of his game? Yeah. Maybe not. But then late in his career, you can see the work that he's put in and hasn't stopped putting in, and just over time has got better and better. His technique's even more sound, and he's nailing those set shots because he's going to play predominantly forward. Brilliant stuff.
Just on him though, and yes, however many games he's going to play this season, I'll need him to play the next 2. We got a big fortnight coming up.
We do have a big fortnight coming up. Before we move on from that game, can I give one more shout out? Just so good to see him back. I get he little fumbly at times, a tiny bit just off, but his overall impact of being back in that team was so good with Sean Manor.
Shawnee.
Yeah.
Had a good chat to him yesterday in the corridors, and he probably had a similar sentiment. He was like, first one back. But you saw him get better as the game went on.
Yes,
I mean,
100%.
That kick to Tyson, I think it was late in the 4th for that last goal that Tyson got the 50 off. He's dropped that in perfectly.
Yeah. Brilliant play. Brilliant to see him back out there. It was a very good night here at GMHBA Stadium because, of course, the Cats won, but also the VFL got the win as well. I got to see the tail end of that. Yeah, and a really, really good standard of footy. The ball was a couple of the passages of play where we broke them open and scored heavily late. The ball was pinging around, and love to see Jai Clark, who would have been disappointed. He'd done quite well at AFL level, had a really good start to the season, just gets squeezed out of the team, responds with a really big game and led the way. I thought George Stevens was excellent as well.
Yeah, he's going well.
Yeah, I watched, as I said, basically the last quarter, so I didn't see a lot of the early stuff, but I thought he had some really important touches as well.
Speaking of going ins and outs of the VFL team, etc., I was happy when Reece sunk that goal. Challenging forward, take a great mark. And I know I'm sure we'll speak to next week, but we probably need DK behind the ball.
Well, yes, we will. We will talk a little bit. Looking forward to the Adelaide game, maybe a little bit later on when we get to some questions. But obviously, I'm glad you brought it up because we're going to chat with Sam De Koning in just a second. Jack Henry's obviously the one down point of that night.
And he was on fire.
Dominant.
He was
dominant.
on fire.
But he's been on fire all season. He's been, I believe, over the course of the start to this year, he's been our best player.
Yeah, no argument here.
And, shattering. But hopefully, 3 to 4 is sort of what the standard-ish type hammy. So hopefully no more than that. Obviously, a huge game coming up against the Crows to kick off Gather Round. Then the week after that.
Oh, yeah, let's go long run up here.
That game. That game. Oh. It's our home game though, isn't it, at the MCG?
Our one and only home game at the G for the year.
Yes, so given how happy they are with themselves and the fact the Hawks think they're flying and they're premiership favourites and all that sort of stuff, I would love to just see blue and white everywhere in that MCG. Easter Monday games, Geelong and Hawthorn are big regardless, but when there's been a slight discrepancy in the ladder, like Geelong's been fairly up there and Hawthorn maybe a little bit more down. Last year it started squeezing up, but I think by Easter Monday they'd had a few losses early on. This is the biggest Easter Monday game for a long time between these two clubs.
Isn't it? No, it's so exciting. And you've got to, you got to plan your Easter a fair way out. But I was thinking about it this morning. I was like, it must feel like an almost a Boxing Day test privilege situation where if you play for the Cats, every year you're looking at that one and thinking, let's go.
This.
And the same with the supporters. I know. Everyone's like, what are you doing for Easter? I'm like, well, I'm at the G on Monday.
Get your tickets now too. Don't even stuff around. Don't even give the Hawks fans a chance to grab any of those tickets. Get your tickets now.
The boys will concentrate on Thursday night, but we can look to next week.
Yeah. So what did you say? Our one and only MCG home game?
Yes. And there'll be plenty of jump on the website because I think there are ticket bundles and Flexi 6 offers. So make sure that you get on because that's how you get to these games and enjoy it.
Fantastic. I've organised a little bit of resilience building for my two oldest boys, Max and
How
Henry.
so?
They're going along with a family of Hawthorn supporters.
Oh my goodness.
Just got to learn the lessons of life. And
Are you working?
I'll be working, yes.
You're just throwing them to the wolves.
Yep. It's like, you know what, boys? If we happen to go down, you'll learn some valuable life lessons. If we get up, when we get up, you can just learn the art of some banter and how you hang a little bit on.
It's high risk
friends.
because you might learn resilience, but you might learn some attitude if things go to plan.
Actually, do me a favour, Geelong fans. Make sure there's so many Cats fans there that my kids are completely supported, and this Hawthorn family is isolated amongst a sea of blue and white. Please, let's take a break. Sam De Koning's up next. Winning a three-peat isn't easy, but at GMHBA Health Insurance, that's exactly what we've done. By winning the 2024 CanStar Outstanding Value Hospital Cover in Victoria 3 years running.
GMHBA have been caring for the Geelong community since 1934 and are proud supporters of the mighty Geelong Cats. Join at gmhba.com.au.
Welcome back to the Final Bell. We are very, very excited now because one of our absolute favourites, Meg, has joined us. Big thanks to GMHBA for bringing us Sam De Koning. Sammy, great to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's great to have you on. And on the back of the fact that you've just signed a 2-year extension, you're playing wonderful footy. It's always nice. I had a win, just smiles all around. How are you travelling? Oh, body's good, form's good, just happy?
Yeah, it's all good. Had good pre-season. Had a little bit of a surgery at the end of last year, so spent a bit more time in the footy club than I would usually. Didn't have the holiday in the pre-season, so was in here working hard, trying to get my body right and start the year off well, and it's good to have done that.
I'm glad you've done that and it's working well, but does that mean it's eaten into your surfing time?
Yeah, unfortunately. Although I've probably made up for it in the last couple of months once I've been back. So, yeah, I've been out in the water quite a bit and enjoying that and having that balance. So, yeah, feeling good about that as well.
You wouldn't have got a chance to, or you might have actually Saturday. There was a lot of swell on Saturday.
Yeah, surfed on Saturday morning with the brother and a couple of my brothers and also on Sunday it was pumping as well. So it's always good when there's waves and you've got some time off.
I was stupid enough, Meg, to be doing the Surf Coast Trek, which was the walk from Aireys Inlet all the way to Torquay.
Torture.
And the whole way it was just looking at this great swell rolling through. Times have changed for me.
Yeah, it's pretty all time.
I need to take a leaf out of both your books. I feel like a spectator to the surfing conversations and I really need to change that if I'm going to make the most of my time down here. Sure. I remember speaking to you halfway through the preseason and you said that you were feeling great. You felt like you'd had a really good reset. Now you're surfing. We know that you love it. But what would you say to accusations that, you present as a very laid back, very chill character, but I've heard you are extremely competitive. You've got really high standards for yourself, and you got a lot of passions outside of footy. So how do you sort of maintain those, or is it all about just being a cool dude with some long blonde hair?
Yeah, no, it's not all about that. I'm probably kind of like a dark, pretty chilled on the surface, but underneath I've kind of got a lot of things I'm thinking about and trying to work on in terms of footy and off field, doing uni, and just trying to sort my life out and get it all rolling. But I do like to be pretty relaxed most of the time, but there is a competitive side to me which you need playing footy and trying to get the best out of myself in my life. So there's always something I'm working on underneath.
Yeah. I love that, and I might be giving away my sources here, but I hear that, is part of your, your passion for surfing and that sort of thing. You're pretty into the environmental side of things and sustainability. Can you speak to that at all?
Yeah, for sure. No, I just really have a connection. I don't know. I guess most surfers would, most people who love the ocean and the natural world. You're sitting out there and you're taking in everything that the world has to offer you and how beautiful it is. And some of those moments I get to share with my family and my friends, it's pretty special. So anything I can do to kind of help the environment and do my part with all that, I feel the connection, and I feel like I need to do something to help that side of things. So I'm pretty passionate about all that sort of stuff and trying to have minimal footprint and live my life and make it beneficial for the world.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, clearly a very well-balanced young man. What are you studying at uni, just out of interest?
I'm studying commerce, just at Deakin. So really enjoying that. It's obviously part-time, so it doesn't take up too much of my time. I think a few boys do a little bit more than I do, but I'm really enjoying it, and I feel like it gives me that balance and something to work on post-footy.
Certainly, I've speaking from my experience, how crucial having that balance, that ability to switch to something else mentally and get away from footy. Speaking of footy, we've seen you already in the early part of this season have some real flexibility in your role. In the ruck at times, went down back superbly on the weekend. Is that something else that you love doing, the ability just to be able to switch, and maybe we'll see you forward at some stage?
Hopefully.
But
Hopefully.
the enjoyment of multi-positions?
Yeah, for sure. I think I've got my junior coaches to thank a lot for that. They were always putting me in multiple positions, and it was always something I was pretty proud of, going up through the ranks, through the Stingrays programs and Vic Country and things like that, where I could kind of offer the team multiple things and be that versatile player that the coach needs. So I don't like putting myself in a box and saying this is the position I want to play. I just kind of want to do what I can for the team and be there to try and help us win. So I want to continue working on all aspects of my game and getting them up to the elite level.
I love that, Sam. I'm probably a bit biased. When you go down back, I'm like, yes, he's back, let's go. But it's one thing to develop that during the preseason and during the week, but to be able to adapt in game and change. I'm not sure if your position changed on the weekend after the injury to Jack, but is there a challenge in that, or you feel like you're sort of adapted enough now that you can adapt pretty well?
There was at the start, changing different positions and coming in with a different mindset of not really sure what I'm doing, but I feel like I've grown to enjoy that and going into games with the mindset of, well, I could be playing anywhere, so I need to kind of be over every aspect of the game, which kind of helps even if I am just playing in the one position. So I really enjoy it now, and it kind of gives me the freedom to just attack the game in my own way and have an impact in anywhere that I play. So I'm really enjoying that aspect of it.
I can't help but get a little bit excited with what you're talking about, Meg, with Sammy down back. Given who we are facing this week, there are some pretty handy forwards for the Adelaide Crows, and Riley Thilthorpe being a young player himself. Did you cross paths with him at all?
I think he's a year younger than me, so no, I didn't cross paths with him. But
haven't battled him yet?
No. So we'll see where I play. I'm not too sure where that is yet. We'll know towards the end of the week. So
I think the beard makes him look like he's a few years older than you. I'm not going to lie. That is like an impressive setup that he's got there.
I wish I could grow something like that.
I just said, and obviously it's going to be a huge challenge this week with not only Riley, but a lot's been made of their tools and how successful that's been. I'm really interested, Jack's obviously going to have to come out of the team. We've spoken a lot, and the media's speaking a lot about our ability to play with the spare behind the ball and the synergy of our backline. How do you think we're able to do that so effectively? I'm not asking you to give us the tactics away, but it seems that on any given week, Zach Guthrie's, he played unbelievably on the weekend. We've spoken about that. Stewie's done it at times. Lawson's getting freed up. Is it just take what the opposition gives you in that respect and you back everyone in to be that spare or play that role?
Yeah, basically.
I answered the question for you guys. That's how it's done. That's a terrible question.
We're just confident in all of our kind of abilities. And I know I talk about myself being a versatile player, but you could pretty much point anyone out on the list and they could play anywhere. So we're confident whether we need a small, a medium, a tall spare down back, or we need someone coming from the midfield, or wherever it is. We see Jezza down there sometimes. We're pretty confident in anyone on the team to kind of fill that role. And it just comes down to that, trusting our teammates and knowing that they'll get the work done and that we'll be there to help them. So we're just confident in all our abilities.
Sammy, if I could, and I'm conscious you got to get to training in a second, just to go back to the way you prepare and the mental application for the game and everything like that. One of my big passions is around development and coaching now that I'm slightly older and no longer playing. But I want to learn as much as I possibly can, and Geelong strikes me as really good at this. Chris Scott and the coaches, but Chris Scott in particular, how he embraces somebody, let's say like yourself, it's got interest in surfing, you got uni, you got all your other interests, and can appear chilled out, but then have that deep competitive burning, versus let's use Tom Stewart as an example, who just outwardly looks like he is on and intense at all times. I also know Stewie can chill out a bit, but just how the coaches let you be you and trust that when you take that field, you bring what you need to bring.
That's right. They trust that we're all individual and have our different passions outside of footy, and they kind of just know that that's what's going to make us play well at the end of the day. It's we all have our different approaches, and they kind of can't just mould us all into one. So I really like that about Geelong. They let you be yourself and let you be an individual, and they just know that when it comes down to it, you have that competitive side, and that's really all that matters to them, and that if you're 2-on-1 or 3-on-1, you can compete and get the job done. So you do have to perform still, and you have to have that work ethic when it comes to training and playing games. So there's always that, but outside of that, they let you just enjoy your passions, and I really love that side of Geelong.
Well, we love what you're doing. It is fantastic. Keep going. Enjoy Gather Round, obviously. First up, kicking things off. What's the go with? Do you fly straight home? I forgot to check this
Friday,
one.
I think.
Friday, okay. After, then you don't get to enjoy the entire Gather Round. Just enjoy kicking it off against the Adelaide Crows. We love what you're doing, and really appreciate the fact that you've joined us and been so open and sharing about some of your passions outside of the game. Good luck for this week.
Thanks, Lingy. Thanks, mate.
On you, DA. Well done.
Winning a three-peat isn't easy, but at GMHBA Health Insurance, that's exactly what we've done. By winning the 2024 CanStar Outstanding Value Hospital Cover in Victoria 3 years running.
GMHBA have been caring for the Geelong community since 1934 and are proud supporters of the mighty Geelong Cats. Join at gmhba.com.au.
Welcome back to the Final Bell, brought to you by GMHBA. Love chatting with Sam De Koning there. Hey, last week, Meg, we didn't get time for listener questions. My fault completely. I did have an appointment I had to run away to.
I thought you were going to blame Burnsy.
No. Got a lot of good feedback about the chat with Burnsy.
He's the best.
Great to have him on as well. What we put out there leading into Friday night's game was favourite historical moments in the 100 years of the Ford and Geelong partnership. Love the
motorcade.
Yeah, so the motorcade. My radio colleagues are like, what is this a what?
That's a bit of everything.
Couldn't figure out. And I said, no. See, each of the premiership cups, there's a connection of each one. And then I quickly on air explained the family connections of Mel Hickey and Georgie Rankin,
Yeah.
and then McMasters, and then et cetera, Freddie, and obviously
Yeah.
to the more modern guys. So I love that. I love
was beautiful, wasn't
the
it?
connection to each one of those.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to be up in the function as the girls and men sort of went down and did the lap, and then they came back up and enjoyed the game. It was a special time. Yeah.
Yeah. And you said actually in your memo earlier, I forgot to mention that you were next to Freddie Wooler.
Yes, well, mainly Pat, as Fred went down and did his lap with Joel, and she was the best. I've been fortunate enough to sit next to them or at a table at them at a previous function, and we just had a great time. We got a photo. We got a photo together. It was fantastic. And then sitting next to her for the first half, the commentary, as I said, was unreal. Yep, one more. All right, switch. Yep, take the next one.
Brilliant.
This is great.
Brilliant by Pat. And Fred obviously is one of the just most unbelievable gentlemen. Just like
He is the most beautiful man. Yeah. But I was having a laugh so Pat went then to sit with him when he came back up. We look over, they're not sitting together because he was like, I can't with your commentary.
He's not as big a fan of Pat's commentary.
He was as big a fan.
Okay. A few of the favourite historical moments that came through, I'll fire through these, but anyone that really catches your eye, please stop me. This one from everyone, Joel's final goal in the grand final, 2022. Pretty special moment, that one.
Pretty special. You could try and do that 100 times, you might not.
Oh,
flushed
it on the banana. Bridie says Jack Henry's match winner versus Richmond.
A great MCG game. See you there in 2 weeks' time.
Great call. Georgie says danger, assist, De Koning goal in 22 GF. Beautiful. Oh, Seb, this one brings back some memories for me. The Scarlet toe poke in the middle of the ground. My son.
Where were you?
I was staring at it more from where the play came from. You know, the switch into the middle by, I think it was Stevie. I had that moment of like, oh, we're out. And then this sickening like,
oh, no.
Oh, God. I took a step towards, I think, running defensively, but I would never have caught up with the play.
Yeah,
thinking we are gone.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was down there and it was
my favorite. I love that, the explanation of that story where Gaz says I think he thought there was pressure on him, like the encouragement, and you see him take that step.
Calling him, and he did that little weave.
And he's like, and he wouldn't have kicked it as early as he did. He said but all's well that ends well.
But I reckon if Gaz hadn't have kicked it that, he would just run to 50 and nailed it himself.
Exactly, how good.
This one's from Billy, and maybe it's from Billy himself, because it's Billy, you are king of Geelong. The goal in the 94 qualifying final. Daniel says the fourth quarter 2011 GF, where a young Tom Hawkins just took over and the Cats took over. That was fun.
Been fortunate enough to be present at quite a few of these.
This is bringing back some good memories. Jazzalee says Harry Taylor's existence, his mere existence. That's a good one.
It's a great one.
Beautiful man, great player. Toby, the Cat is still on the back. Hawkins after the siren 2012 v Hawthorn.
No.
It's one of the, apart from the 22 final series and ultimately the grand final, probably the happiest I've been as a supporter post my career.
Yeah.
Watching that, it was
just such a massive kick.
Oh, and I had a rare night off from working, so that was my first season being out of playing and in working in the media. And you remember the game? I don't know if it was 10 goals, but we were massively up. The game was done, but it was that sickening feeling inside, like, no, it is not over. Hawthorn will come at us. Not only did they come, they had the game. They won it. It was over. It was deep in their foot. I was so angry. I was so frustrated. I was like, I can't believe we've lost this. I was getting upset. And then it just that magical play down the wing, back in board, and Hawkeye nailing it.
I mean, similar to the after the Zach Tui's, which, spoiler alert, I think is about to come up.
Correct,
it
is from Chelsea.
One, but that kick in board on those final plays, you got to do it. And I must say, back to the Hawk one and the Cat still being on the back, two things. It makes you realise how important commentary is in these moments and how it highlights them. But secondly, you realise how big the rivalry is when I had no association with the Cats at the time. I didn't grow up going for them. I didn't yet play for them. But even I remember the investment in that game. It was all consuming for the whole industry, that rivalry.
Oh, it was. This one's from Cool Guy Stuart. 100-metre effort versus Sydney 2017.
I thought you said cool guy Stuart.
Well,
Hey,
Tom
cool
Stewart
guy,
is
he's
a cool guy.
That's one of my favourites because he used to coach us as he was our first backline coach, and he was emphasising the importance of being clean on training session, and I just sent him the clip.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an impressive effort. He's gone a long way, and I mean, it launched his career, that effort. But I'm sure he would have liked to take it cleanly along the way too.
Yes. This one's from Sia. Simply put, Lawson Humphreys.
Yeah.
As a
present, the future.
a favourite historical moment. Sia, I love that one. Lawson Humphreys. We were discussing, again, radio commentary, the quirk that there is only 2 left-footers in the entire Geelong list. Now I've gone blank and can't remember who they are. That's our
Jeremy.
What? Yeah, no. Jez was one, and the other one is one of the younger draftees, and I can't remember who it was. Left footer. I was making the argument that Lawson Humphreys is the third.
I'm not convinced that he's not left-footed.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
but he is officially listed in the AFL little Bible that we get, the season guide, as a right footer.
Has he gone on record?
We spoke to him after the game, and he just said, "Oh, Dad just told me I had to kick both feet and be good at kicking both feet." Well, you are, Lawson. You are. Love some of those historical moments. Thank you to all of our listeners for sharing them with us. Let's look to Thursday night, shall we? Kicking off Gather Round at the Adelaide Oval against the Crows. We mentioned it before. Everyone knows this. No Jack Henry, unfortunately, who's been in outstanding form. So somebody's got to come in and a little bit of a shuffle. Great test because the Crows went down, unlucky to go down again. And I loved their statement when they said, enough with the whole acknowledging that it was a wrong decision. I'm like, it doesn't fix anything. No. Just get the decision right. It was a horrible decision.
I liked the press conference approach when he was like, this is what I try and tell my players to do, and
just move
I'll
on.
try and do that.
Yeah. But they are a good football team. They are a very good football team. They're
great to watch. It was a great game on the weekend. Wow.
Yeah, it was. Their ball movement is terrific. Their forward line is really functional at the moment. They isolate really well, obviously between Fogarty and Walker and Phil Thorpe, but Smalls around. It'll be a great challenge for the Cats. One that I think when we're at our best, we can play the type of footy that can go stride for stride and be right there with them. Obviously, we're coming out of a mini lull with a couple of losses and then building some form on the weekend. Thursday night, big crowd at the Adelaide Oval. I reckon we can hit back to our very best form.
I agree. Great honour to open Gather Round. How exciting. And it's been a happy hunting ground for us in recent years. I think we've had one loss there since 2022. So hopefully, I mean, the boys seem comfortable there, but Adelaide have been awesome to watch. Their backline sort of getting it done, no big names, and yet the other end of the ground, some massive names, some massive units, and really interested to see how we account for, Jack Henry won't be in the team. Will DK go back? We probably need 3 tools. Hopefully Blitz is back in. He's been playing really well behind the ball.
Yep, good call.
Would have. I don't know that he's available. I think we'll get a health update maybe today, but I would have loved Collar.
Yeah.
But also now I've got Connor O'Sullivan as well.
Well, and great test for Connor O'Sullivan, potentially on a really good forward. I think we touched on it, or you did with your question to Sam around the ultimate +1 in defence is Tom Stewart.
Yeah.
But the Cats don't seem to care who it is because they'll back in Zach Guthrie to do it, Lawson Humphreys to do it. They'll back in Connor O'Sullivan in game number 5 to do it. So the ability to generate that will be important. You're right. Blitz coming back in just seems like a beautiful, obvious. Jack unfortunately goes out. Blitz comes back in. Reece played really well in the ruck. Allow Sam to stay behind the ball, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So some great opportunities for us. I think when I look at their midfield, their ball movement through the midfield is really dynamic and Rankin can push through there.
He's been mostly mid this year.
And Dawson's a wonderful player and all of that. Max Holmes, I think, is in a really important learning phase of his career at the moment because for the first time ever, he's now getting heavily tagged.
Yeah.
And he's learning to cope with it and learning to still be able to influence games by he's not necessarily going to freewheel 32 touches and have all these running bounces and everything like that. But that doesn't mean he disappears from the game.
Yeah.
I thought he fought his way through a few times, had some important moments in the game on Friday night. So he might get that opportunity again this week just to open up a little bit, because the Crows midfield plays pretty attacking football.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I've really enjoyed watching Saligo too.
Yeah.
That last contest on the weekend was really impressive. So you're right, and I think they'll work out that balance with Max and Bailey. You know, hopefully you can't clamp both of them. So it'll, each will get a go at it at different times, and working out how to be really damaging, perhaps when one's getting sat on and one's free to use that, supreme running power that they've both got, and then well complemented by the tackling machine that is
Tom Atkins. Also, while the opposition is so fixated on do we go to Holmes, do we go to Bailey Smith, Dangerfield can come in there for a 6-minute burst and is not going to have the worry of, well, they'll come to me for that. Yeah. So Danger can just be really aggressive with what he does. I've continued to love the game of Ted Closey.
Oh my God.
Hard as nails.
May picked him up and no, it sounds accusatory, but when he took that mark in the third quarter, strong mark, hits up Danger for one of his goals. I was like, he's been tossed around there. No worries.
Yeah, not a worry in the world. I think those sorts of players continue to improve and grow and get better. And this guy's been a star for a little while, but Brad Close's start to the game, I thought was
hometown
excellent
as well. How good was his start?
Yeah.
And for it to come from pressure acts and just being awake and alert on the mark, yeah.
Yeah. Sean Manor again, I think will get better again. So all the signs are pointing upwards for the Cats against a team that, as we just touched on, is a very good football team, unlucky to lose on the weekend, playing great football. It will be a brilliant game. Yeah. Are you going to Adelaide?
Oh, I would love to go to Adelaide. This marks a year since you went to Adelaide and had a big exciting moment. No, I'm where I'll probably have your training session here, and then I think a couple of the girls will watch it together.
Nice.
Yeah, it'd be great. How about you?
You got to schedule in next year to get the Barossa Valley game, just to duck over there for a bit. There's been, I've noticed with the media outlets I work for, there's been a lot of jostling for position of who's got the Barossa games.
Okay.
I'm like, all right, you're there for a footy game, not for anything else.
Red. Yes, please.
Yeah, it is a good weekend. I'm not going myself this time. I'm going to take the chance to spend the weekend with the family and before the real...
Bit of surf?
Yeah, hopefully I'll get in the water. Yeah, it's meant to be pretty warm this weekend.
Final question to wrap us up. Well, look at DK and surfing and balance, and it's fantastic. And I was just looking at him as he left before, and I thought, height on a surfboard, blessing or a curse?
It's not ideal, but I also surfed for a long, long time with Brad Ottens.
Yeah.
He still surfs. And Otto would go from being this 6'10" just monster, when he was playing huge shoulders, and would weigh down. He could be on a 50-foot boat and it'd feel like it'd weigh it down into the water. But then that's brilliant. If he paddled onto a wave, it's like he'd shrink down to like 5'6". He'd just turn into this little nimble and flying along the wave. So yeah, once you're up and riding, it's not too bad. It's just more the
axle.
The heaviness in the water. Because Sam is such a big guy, Brad's a big guy, but they're fine. They make it work. Okay. I could sink a board down pretty well these days too.
Maybe we've realised why I haven't started surfing yet.
No.
What a great couple of weeks.
Yeah, let's enjoy Thursday night. Let's make sure, just a quick shout out again, get your tickets for that following Easter Monday, because it is 2 huge weeks, and not just from the spectacle of opening gather round and then Easter Monday. The Adelaide Crows are a very good football team, and the Hawks are a very good football team. So it's a great test for where the team is at right now. Let's hope when we're back next week on this podcast, we're talking about a great win.
Let's do it.
All right. See you next week.